The most terrifying cryptids of Chernobyl. Hey there, fellow explorers. Ever been curious about the secrets hidden in the world's most abandoned places? Today, we're venturing into one of the eeriest spots on Earth, the Chernobyl exclusion zone. So grab a comfy seat, maybe turn on a light or two, and let's dive into the mysteries that await. Back in April 1986, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic nuclear disasters in history, the meltdown of Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The immediate aftermath led to the evacuation of over 100,000 people, leaving behind ghost towns frozen in time. But what if the absence of humans allowed something else to emerge from the shadows? From mysterious winged creatures to phantom vehicles roaming deserted roads, the exclusion zone is rife with chilling tales. Are these stories just urban legends, or is there something more sinister lurking within? Stick around as we uncover the most terrifying cryptids of Chernobyl, the Chernobyl exclusion zone. So, let's set the scene. After the disaster, a 30-kilometer radius around the plant was declared uninhabitable, the infamous exclusion zone. Nature, however, didn't get the memo to stay out. Over the past 3 decades, it's been reclaiming the land, turning urban landscapes into overgrown forests. Imagine walking through a place where time has stood still. The only sounds are the wind whispering through the trees and the distant calls of wildlife reclaiming their territory. No bustling streets, no chatter, just an eerie silence that makes every footstep echo. It's both mesmerizing and haunting. In this isolated environment, it's no wonder that stories of strange sightings and unexplained phenomena have emerged. Could the lack of human presence have allowed something else to thrive? Let's explore. The Black Bird of Chernobyl. First up on our list is the legendary Black Bird of Chernobyl. Described as a massive, dark-winged creature with piercing red eyes, this ominous figure is said to have terrorized workers at the power plant before the disaster. Sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, right? Several workers reported seeing this terrifying creature in the days leading up to the meltdown. They spoke of it soaring above the plant and even received mysterious phone calls with nothing but horrific screeching on the other end. Imagine answering the phone to that. These sightings were considered ill omens, a harbinger of the catastrophe that was about to unfold. Some believe the Black Bird was a supernatural warning, a grim reaper of sorts, signaling impending doom. Now, if this story rings a bell, you might be thinking of the Mothman from Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Back in the 60s, locals reported a similar creature before the tragic Silver Bridge collapse. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's intriguing to think these two legends could be connected across continents. Of course, skeptics suggest the Black Bird might have been a misidentified black stork, a large bird native to the area but rarely seen due to its shyness. Others think stress and fear among the workers led to mass hysteria. What do you think? The giant catfish of Pripyat River. Next, let's wade into the waters of the Pripyat River, where fishermen have spun tales of enormous catfish lurking beneath the surface. We're talking fish that could give a small boat a run for its money. Some urban explorers and daring anglers claim to have seen shadows the size of cars gliding under the water. There are even stories of fishing lines snapping under the weight of these supposed river giants. It's the stuff of local legends. Many attribute these behemoth fish to mutations from radiation exposure, believing the contamination led to accelerated growth rates. It's a chilling thought, nature mutating in response to man's mistakes. Kind of like a real-life science fiction scenario. But hold on. Experts point out that catfish are known to grow quite large under the right conditions, especially when they're not overfished. With limited human activity in the area, these catfish have been free to thrive. So, perhaps it's less about mutations and more about Mother Nature doing her thing. The radioactive wolves. Roaming the forests of the exclusion zone are the so-called radioactive wolves. With humans out of the picture, the wolf population has flourished, turning the area into their own wild kingdom. Some visitors report that these wolves are unusually bold, showing little fear of humans. There are tales of packs observing explorers from a distance, their eyes glowing eerily in the fading light. It's like something out of a spine-chilling thriller. Rumors suggest that radiation has mutated these wolves, making them larger, more aggressive, or even endowed with heightened intelligence. While it makes for a thrilling story, is there any truth to it? Wildlife researchers studying these wolves have found them to be quite normal, thriving, yes, but not mutated. The absence of human interference has allowed them to exhibit natural behaviors without fear. So, while they might seem bold, they're just being themselves in their own turf. Nature's way, right? The Moss Men. Now, let's step into the realm of the mysterious Moss Men. Described as humanoid figures draped in moss, vines, and foliage, they purportedly blend seamlessly into the forest. Imagine walking through dense woods and suddenly realizing the tree next to you has eyes. Folklore from nearby villages tells of forest spirits or guardians protecting the land from harm. These stories predate the nuclear disaster but have since taken on new life amid the abandoned wilderness. Some explorers claim to have felt an unsettling presence or caught glimpses of figures moving just out of sight. Others report hearing whispers carried by the wind, indecipherable but undeniably there. It's enough to make anyone's hair stand on end. Most likely, these experiences can be chalked up to overactive imaginations or the psychological effects of being in such an eerie environment. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, so it's easy to see faces or figures in the tangled trees. Still, the stories add to the mystique of the place. The Chernobyl mutation mythos. Beyond specific creatures, there's a broader mythos about mutations throughout the exclusion zone. From glowing plants to animals with extraordinary abilities, the tales are as plentiful as they are fantastical. People speak of birds with feathers that shimmer unnaturally, foxes that can disappear in a blink, and even plants that emit a ghostly luminescence at night. These stories often lack evidence but persist in the collective imagination. While radiation can cause mutations, they're usually not the superpower-granting kind we see in comics. More often, mutations are detrimental, leading to decreased survival rates. Studies have shown that, overall, the flora and fauna have adapted quite well. It's important to distinguish between what's scientifically plausible and what's the product of storytelling. The real wonder lies in nature's resilience and ability to adapt in the face of challenges. Isn't that amazing in itself? The Pripyat Shadows. For the paranormal enthusiasts, the Pripyat Shadows are a source of endless intrigue. Visitors report seeing shadowy figures in the periphery of their vision or peering from the windows of abandoned buildings. Some believe these are spirits trapped between worlds, victims of the disaster unable to move on. Others think it's residual energy, a psychic imprint left by the traumatic events that occurred. Of course, being in a place steeped in tragedy can play tricks on the mind. The silence and isolation heighten our senses, making us more susceptible to seeing or hearing things that aren't there. It's a classic case of mind over matter. The mutant insects. Insects don't escape the mutation rumors either. There are accounts of giant spiders, ants with wings, and beetles that glow ominously in the dark. Some explorers have captured photos of unusually large insects or ones with strange colorations. These images often spread quickly online, fueling speculation and awe. In reality, insects can show significant variations in size and appearance based on environmental factors. The abundance of resources and lack of pesticides in the exclusion zone may contribute to these differences. Entomologists studying the area haven't found evidence of radiation-induced mutations leading to giant or anomalous insects. So, while the bugs might be big, they're still within the realm of normalcy. The phantom vehicles. Imagine wandering through the deserted streets and hearing the distant rumble of engines or seeing headlights approaching, only for nothing to appear. These are the tales of phantom vehicles haunting the roads of Chernobyl. During the evacuation and cleanup, the area was bustling with military and emergency vehicles. Some believe the intense energy and emotions of that time left a residual echo that occasionally resurfaces. Others suggest it's simply sounds carrying from outside the zone or auditory hallucinations brought on by the profound silence and isolation. Either way, it's a spine-tingling experience. The two-headed deer. Perhaps one of the most unsettling stories is that of the two-headed deer. Sightings of deer with deformities like extra heads or legs have been reported, painting a grim picture of radiation's impact. Some hunters and hikers claim to have seen these creatures, often at a distance. However, photographic evidence is scarce and usually unconvincing. Radiation can cause birth defects, but severe deformities typically result in early death, making it unlikely for such animals to survive to adulthood. Research indicates that while there may be a slightly higher rate of minor deformities, the overall health of animal populations is surprisingly robust. Nature, it seems, is more resilient than we often give it credit for. Analysis of cryptid sightings. Looking at these stories collectively, we see common themes of fear, isolation, and the unknown. The exclusion zone serves as a canvas onto which we project our deepest anxieties and curiosities. Radiation is an invisible threat, making it the perfect backdrop for tales of unseen dangers and mutations. It taps into our fear of what we can't see or understand. These legends have inspired numerous books, movies, and video games. Titles like Stalker and Metro 2033 feet delve into post-apocalyptic worlds filled with mutants and mysteries, capturing the public's imagination. The human mind is wired to seek patterns and explanations. In a place as eerie and quiet as Chernobyl, it's natural for imaginations to run wild, leading to the birth of these cryptids. Interviews with experts. I spoke with wildlife biologists who've dedicated years to studying the exclusion zone. They shared that while radiation initially impacted wildlife, many species have adapted and are thriving. It's a testament to nature's resilience. Psychologists provided insights into why these myths persist. They explained that in environments associated with trauma and disaster, people are more prone to seeing patterns or attributing unexplained events to supernatural causes. Some former residents shared their personal stories and local folklore. They talked about how these legends help make sense of the tragedy and keep the memories of their homes alive. So there you have it, the most terrifying cryptids of Chernobyl. From the ominous black bird to the mysterious moss men, these tales are as fascinating as they are chilling. Whether these stories are rooted in reality or born from our collective fears, they highlight our desire to understand and find meaning in the unknown. The exclusion zone remains a place of intrigue, a reminder of past mistakes and the enduring power of nature. At the end of the day, these legends are part of what makes Chernobyl such a compelling subject. They serve as modern myths, adding layers of depth to an already profound place. Who knows what other secrets the zone holds? Perhaps only time will tell.